So the weather was bad over the Atlantic between Scotland and Iceland, so I had to spend 3 days in Wick, Scotland. And I gotta say, Wick is a really special place. I kept on being reminded of Mel Gibson's movie Braveheart, being in Scotland. The place is just amazing with great food and really nice people. And Drew really helped me out. So I used this time to inspect the engine, the ULM engine of the Magnus, which is really small. You can see here in my hand how small the engine is, but it delivers 107 horsepower and it flies really nice. For the Atlantic, I rented a life raft from Drew so that if I go in the water, I will survive. The flight from Wick was to take me across the North Atlantic next to the Faroe Islands all the way to Iceland. Usually it would take 7 hours, but I was waiting for a little bit of tailwind and it should take me about 6.5 hours from Wick all the way to Reykjavik, Iceland. Here you can see me with my immersion suit, and this suit is a special suit that I can survive if I go in the water and I won't freeze to death.
Hey guys, how are you?
This is Drew, the main man, here at Far North Aviation. Alright. So I installed the Insta360 camera on top of the canopy of the Magnus with a whole bunch of sellotape. And this is the footage that it gives. I was really surprised, but it really looks good. This is Magnus and me taxiing out to the runway for takeoff. We are very heavy with a lot of survival equipment, fuel, and a whole bunch of stuff. Full power, and here we go. Magnus pushes forward as if there's nothing on it, and within a few seconds, I'm lifting off the runway into the air to start this long journey across the Atlantic. You can see here the runway behind us and Wick Airport to our right. And behind the airport is Wick, the town itself, and the beautiful, flat, clean Atlantic Ocean with sunny weather that looks like it's just come out of a picture. But soon I was in for a surprise of some bad weather that was waiting for me in about 1 hour's flight out of Wick. But I was enjoying this great weather and it was looking good, checking the systems, looking at the coastline, saying goodbye to beautiful Scotland to cross the Atlantic. This would be my first flight westward on the Atlantic Ocean, because usually I go east. And that's Wick, North Scotland, and slowly we're saying goodbye to this beautiful place. After about an hour's flight, the bad weather started to roll in, low cloud cover, and I found myself flying at about 1,000 to 800 feet above the water, and I was using the Sky Demon to help me navigate through the Atlantic with an old iPad from 2014. I was so surprised how well it was working, but it was. Check it out. There were a few patches of higher clouds and I used the high clouds to climb higher so that I'd be about 2,000 feet, 3,000 feet over the ocean. That's me smiling. I was pretty happy with myself. But as time went by, more and more bad weather was coming in. It wasn't a surprise. This is the price of getting a tailwind. I knew I would have to fly low in order to enjoy this tailwind that would push me all the way to Iceland. As I was flying, I was filming with the 360 on the canopy, and you can see here the view that's coming out. This is me inside. That's the life raft in case I have to go in the water. I've got a survival bag on the life raft and the immersion suit. If I have to go in the water, I put aside the headset, I take off the glasses, of course with 2 hands. Here I'm doing it with 1 hand. I push over my head the cover and I zip it through. And again, this is done with 2 hands. Over here is 1 hand so you can see. And Then I press the SOS button on the Garmin InReach that is attached to my survival suit. There were a few patches of good weather. Over here I filmed it. You can see the flaky clouds below me. I climbed to about 3,000 or 4,000 feet, but this would usually be only for about 15-20 minutes, and then the cloud cover would force me down. And this is Iceland. After about 5 hours flight, I still got about an hour and a half to go. The cloud cover was going slowly down, and I was using the coastline in order to guide myself because I didn't want to depend 100% on the altimeter. I felt much safer looking at the coastline and then flying the plane. Here you can see how it looks from the front, going through the clouds and using the tiny bits of rock to fly. This is the beautiful, beautiful coastline of Iceland, and I was slowly skimming the coastline, getting closer and closer to Reykjavik. I gotta say, this was a beautiful flight, even though it was very, very challenging. Plus, I had some rain as I was going through. I was flying between 200 to 400 feet all the way to Reykjavik, which is about 60 to 120 meters, give or take. Reykjavik Tower were really, really helpful, telling me the weather along the route with their radar, and they told me exactly what altitude I would need to fly in order to slowly creep under the cloud cover into Reykjavik Airport, and that was super helpful. Here I'm slowly crossing the land into the coast to start approaching the bay that leads up to Reykjavik Airport. Here I'm about 60 to 80 meters above the water over here, flying very, very carefully. I can tell you I was super concentrated on this flight. And then here I am coming into land at Reykjavik. Cloud cover is a little bit higher. Give myself a little bit of a high five, and I'm slowly coming into land at Reykjavik Airport after 6.5 hours with a gentle touchdown and a nice big kiss to Magnus. So today this is my favorite person. This is Claudia. Claudia from Iceland.
From the left.
Where are you from?
South Africa. From
South Africa, from SA.
yes.
Really? How did you make it to Iceland?
Pilot there?
Really? I lived in Tanzania for 10 years.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I come all the way to Iceland, I see SA. And this is the baby. My beautiful. So the first thing I did is, of course, refuel Magnus. We put in about 140 liters. It took a while, but we slowly did it. The staff at Reykjavik was super helpful, really, really nice. And the hotel actually is right across the street in front of the airport, the Reykjavik airport. And here is Magnus parking, waiting for me for the next flight to Greenland the next day. So I'll be seeing you at part 5, Iceland to Greenland, across the Northern Atlantic. Bye for now.